Hello everybody, Demon Red Mist here. Admittedly it's quite late on this Saturday night, but I've been sleeping in the day. So, because I didn't get to do a lot of practice for the first Mazda Touring Cup race, I decided I'm going to come on for a bit and get a bit of extra practice around Spa. I mean, I'm not necessarily intending on doing guide videos as such, but as I drive around here I am going to sort of try and mention what it is that I am going to be attempting to do. A couple of key things about Spa is make sure that you're not in spectate mode when you try to leave the garage. Is the braking points are crucial, not just the braking points but the making sure you brake the right amount. So for turn one, at the end of the Kenmore Straight, which is this big long section here, making sure that you brake at the right point and you brake enough, because there's a lot of places where it's tempting to try and not brake as much and you just end up running off wide. Now in this car, this track is not the most difficult of tracks, but at the same time it still has its technical technicality to it. Now earlier on today, well technically it's yesterday now, I was able to do a 1:34.2 within a few laps, so I do think a 2, so a 2:32 would be possible. I will mention as well, I am only going to be using second gear in 2 places, and that's the final corner and turn 1. It's the only place that I'm using second gear. And the thing with Spa as well is a lot of people tend to push way too hard around this track. And the thing is, the way to push around this track isn't by attacking the corners, it's by getting the car to the right speed at the right point and carrying speed through a corner correctly, rather than going into a corner quickly and coming out of it slow. Also, something that many people may not be aware of, even on these sort of long sweeping fast bits, the straighter you can actually keep your wheel, the quicker you will go. Okay, so heading up to turn 1, braking points about 75 meters, 75-80 meters, but it's fully on the brakes for a second gear, and I want to get on the power at the apex. So on the curb, full power. Now I've taken it a little slow there, but the aim is to be able to get fully on the power by the apex curb. Absolutely flat out down here. Personally, I'm holding 5th. You do the same speed if you hold 4th. Personally though, I just think the car handles better in 5th, and it seems to pick up the speed at a similar rate. Now the previous track, that was different, but that's because there was a lot more uphills sort of towards the end of 4th gear. Okay, braking at the start of the curb for the 3rd gear, and this first part is still part of the braking zone for this left-hander. Now the aim is to be absolutely flat out, and then this corner, make sure you get on those brakes, start the curb, stay on those brakes. 3rd gear, let the car slow down so that you can stay tight, and then full throttle. Lift, turn in, use the curb, you can get on the power nice and early. I may be able to take that in 4th at some point, it depends on how I get on. dab a brake at the 50, get it down to 4th gear. I was a bit late there getting it turned in. For that Puon corner, it'd be very easy to approach in 4th and stay in 4th, but it's harder to make the corner. Okay, again, hard on the brakes. Don't rush to get down to 3rd, because you want to make sure that you stay tight around that corner and take the left-hander faster. Don't get on the AstroTurf there. Brake at the curb, full brakes, 3rd gear, get it slowed down. Do not push the entry there, you will go deep. Now for me, the whole of the run down towards Blanchimont is mainly all about getting into position to turn into Blanchimont, which is 2 wheels on the green, and then gentle turn in, and you barely have to turn at all, and it helps carry the speed. For the braking point, I'm using the end of the shadow. 2nd gear, don't get on the throttle between the corners, so you make sure you can get turned into the left-hander and get full power. Once you've started doing that, you can start feeding a little bit of throttle between the corners, but not a lot. Went in a bit deep that time. I am trying to avoid the curb on the right here. If you touch it, it makes the car unbalanced. It makes the car corners harder to do. It's the same with any car around this track on that corner. Braked a touch late there. Try it in 4th. It's doable, didn't feel very quick, but it's doable. Maybe going up to 4th and coming back down will be useful. But yeah, the key to this corner I find is getting up into 5th to be able to come back down to 4th. It's all to do with the weight shift in the car. Now, one of the reasons for not going down to 3rd gear too soon into that right-hander is the sooner you go down into 3rd, the higher up the rev range it'll be, and it's actually worse for your entry. There's a chance you may hit the limiter, so you kind of just need to give the car a little bit of time to slow down before you drop it into 3rd. Careful on the exit there. If you get too much on the Astro, it can spin you. Now you can get full throttle very early through those corners, but you need to make sure that as you do, you're coming off the steering. That's a better entry. So as soon as I got to the apex curb, I was able to go full throttle. That should give me 2 or 3 tenths down here. Careful if you do put a wheel on the curb on the left there, it's very easy to unbalance the car. It may look and sound like I'm taking this corner way too slow, but in all fairness, if you try and attack it any harder, your chances of running deep are massive, and you do not want to run deep in that corner. Bit late on the brakes there. Oh, right on the limit. Lost all that time in Pouon. Didn't mean to run that wide, got on the sausage curb, which sent me out a bit. Not a bad time though. I'll say not a bad time, that's a PB at the moment. Bit deep. If I hadn't lost that time through Pouon, it'd have been a 2:33. Now, I can imagine a lot of people driving this would find this quite boring, and to be fair, it can be. But this is a very different type of car to drive than what you might see me normally driving, in that, yes, it's slower, but it's all about those fine margins, those finer details. Getting that braking point spot on, getting that turning point right, getting that amount of throttle correct, and not doing that. So, you know, it'd be very easy to just go, oh, I fucked up the right-hander there, when in actual fact I fucked up the left-hander before it, and that set me up for making the mistake in the right-hander. There's no way I was going to make that flat out, but they're the finer details that I'm on about. Spotting, okay, I've not taken that corner quite right. That means around this track quite often you can't take the next one in its ideal way, so you got to do something about it. And 9 times out of 10 around here it's a lift. Should have enough fuel for another lap. Should have enough fuel for another 2 laps really, but now with this final chicane, the aim is to not touch the sausage curb on the left hand corner on the apex. You want to be next to it, but don't touch it. If you do, make sure you are doing something to avoid it, or basically control the car, because it is going to bounce, it's going to be unbalanced. Nice and early on the throttle there. Now the way I'm taking the first corner in this car is the way that I try and take it in every car, but obviously the ability of the car is definitely relevant to how you can take the corner. But sometimes you may have to wait a little bit longer before you can get on the power, or you need to make sure you're off the steering more before you go full power. Downshifted to third, a touch too soon there, and the car got wobbly. It's also one of the reasons why I take this corner in third, because if you actually do go down to second, it makes the car unstable under braking. I think I just gained a nice little bit of time in that corner. Yeah, I thought so. This is where it's crucial to not fuck up the last corner. It's so easy to be this amount of time up and then fuck up the last corner. That's a fucking good lap time. 2:33.4. Right, have I got enough fuel for one lap? I haven't got enough fuel for 1.3. Right, what I'm gonna do on this lap is the corner where I just mentioned about not using second gear because it makes the car unstable. I'm going to go down to second gear and we'll see what happens, just to show it. But also the corner after Puon where I said don't go down to third gear too soon. I'll go down to third gear too soon to show what happens there as well. So this corner coming up, the temptation is to push really fast into it, but it does make the car unstable, and as I go back on throttle, second gear is not long enough. So you're much better off just using third gear, having the stability on the way in and comfort on the way out, comfort and speed on the way out. Okay, so the next right-hander, I'll try and go down the gears quicker. So it bounced the limiter, and because it bounced the limiter, it's pushed the car forward, and that's what I want to avoid. It'd be the same if I sort of did it here. I admit I slowed down plenty enough, but it's a corner that you don't need second gear. So it's like I mentioned with the finer details, the downshifts are one of them. If you downshift too quick in this car and you're bouncing the limiter, you're not slowing down quicker, you're making it harder to slow down. Now you could hit the brakes, wait, and do quick downshifts like that. That's different. That's still making sure you don't hit the limiter. Now I thought me pole man was dancing. Well, one of the things that I've said before on some of my videos is that I'm not necessarily showing people how to get around the track in the fastest possible way. I'm showing people how to get around the track in a consistent way. So how you can approach the track, the corners, in the same way every time, make the corners every time. Because at the end of the day, you will not go faster until you are consistently getting around the track without any issue. Once you've done that, that's when you can start pushing the boundaries a little bit and working out, okay, where can I come off the brake a bit earlier, or where can I get on the throttle a bit earlier. Now, something I'm interested to do here, actually, I'm going to try it. I want to see. So I've not really done much fuel testing, to be honest. Right, okay. Let's see what lap time I can do on fuel mix 3, shall we? I'm interested to see how much slower that is. I must admit, when I came on to do this video this evening, or this morning, I was tempted to put my pad on and go, right, okay, let's see how fast I can go on a pad, to annoy Lewis. But to be fair, I need the track time. With having been away for a week and a half before the last race, it definitely showed. I wasn't on the pace at all. Well, for me, I wasn't on the pace at all. Now, hopefully, one of the things you'll notice as I'm driving round, it doesn't matter if I'm on fuel mixture 3 or fuel mixture 1, 1 being the most powerful, everything I'm doing is in a calm, controlled manner. And to be honest, in a race situation, I would be attempting to do exactly the same thing. So it's always the aim of brake once, steer once, throttle once. And this is a car where you can really learn that. Definitely feel the lack of speed being on 3 on the fuel mixture. I'm going to guess already I'm going to be about 5-6 tenths down on this straight alone. I'm 4 mile an hour slower up the hill there. Yeah, 5 tenths I reckon. No, it's going to be more. Fucking 1.5 seconds. Okay. Well, what I'm going to try and do then is, seeing as I've got the fuel mixture turned down, I'm going to try and thrash the gears a little bit. So the aim is to use as much power of the engine while still saving fuel. I don't think it will necessarily work, but it may just help with the acceleration. I mean, it does kind of defeat the object though of lapping while saving fuel. Downshifted too soon. Now, some people may watch this video that have been listening to me saying use full brake in the right-hander. I've just gone round. But then you may watch me and go, well, you're not using full brake. Trust me, the reason I'm saying to you use full brake is because if that is a corner that you struggle with or you go off at, you need to use full brake to make sure that you make the corner every single time. You will lose less time doing that than going off the track. Trust me, it was one of my bogey corners until I went through that process of, right, just full brake for it, get the speed down, doesn't matter how much time I lose in the braking zone, I'm going to get around the corner. Fuck me, 3.5 second loss. Oh, well, let's see if we can get this first sector lost time down. to about 1.2 seconds by holding fourth gear here, because fourth gear will do to about 127, 128, and it should hopefully help to not reduce too low. No, it still went to 119. Yeah, the pickup is quite slow, but I do think that's going to be about 1.2 seconds down, maybe 1.3, 1.4. Now admittedly, with the engine being turned down, I should be able to push it much harder through all of the corners, and by that I mean if I drive in the way that I've just shown, because the engine is turned down, the car will automatically go slower. So by pushing it through the corners, what I mean is braking at the right point, but just carrying more speed for this setting, and being aware that if I don't do something different, the car will be slower through the corners. So although yes, I will save fuel, I will also lose a shitload of time in the corners. But to be honest, I don't think I'll be doing any fuel saving in the race around this track unless I am absolutely desperate. Now, okay, don't get me wrong, you could quite easily sit there going, right, from this corner I'll go full engine mode, and then from the end of the long straight I could turn it down a bit. It ain't worth the hassle. I mean, what, 3.5 seconds a lap off the pace? To be honest, it ain't gonna save you a lot of time in the long run. You're better off doing an additional pit stop. Right, that lap was slower, so let's fuck that off. Tyres are a little lacking in grip because I was pushing through the corners. Even though it's not showing as having a lot of wear on the front tyres, they haven't quite got the grip than if I'd have just been carrying the speed without pushing too much through the corners. But I'm going to try and do this corner. I'm going to keep it in fourth gear here. It's doable, but it wants to run wide, and that is all to do with the lack of weight shift in the car going from fifth to fourth, and that little bit of engine braking. Also, I would mention, if you do run wide in that corner and you find yourself sort of straddling the AstroTurf, if you try and return back to the track, there's a good chance you're either going to A, crash into other cars as you return to track, or B, you're going to spin. If you do start going out there, you may be better off staying out there and then coming back onto the track safely without having gained an advantage on the next little straight. Now, one of the things I may have to try and do is see if there's anywhere that I can perhaps push my braking points to see if I can find a bit of lap time for qualifying. That's definitely not one of them. I think I was about 60 metres, way too late. On one of the laps I'm going to try and get turn 1 done properly and then hold 4th gear up and over Rouge and Rayon to see if it gives me a time gain or time loss. Personally, I don't think there's much of a gain to be had by keeping it in 4th, and if you're in a slipstream you definitely don't want 4th. Be careful if you run wide there. If you run wide there and you apply left hand down to try and get back to the track, you might just spin. And tyres definitely haven't quite got the grip because I am way off the pace, but I mean I can notice it through a lot of the corners. It just hasn't quite got the bite on the front end. Tried braking a little bit after the chicane, after the shadow. It did not like it. It's not turned the fuel mixture down again, has it? No. Just shit laps. So yeah, as I'm turning in there, I can feel the front end of the car sliding. I can hear the tyres going a little bit. The grip definitely is not quite there. So I've done the same sort of speed up and over the hill. Like it went down to the same minimum speed. I haven't quite got the grip to push flat out through there. It's one of the places that I am spotting the lack of grip. Don't want to be going that wide. One of the things though, when you try in different things, you have to appreciate that some things you try might not work. Some things you try will. What you've got to be careful of is, I know there's been times where I've given people advice and initially it hasn't worked for them, so they don't think it's necessarily right. Sometimes it just takes a while to get used to doing something in a certain way. Like little things like the final corners here, where I mentioned about don't use the throttle in between the corners. For a lot of people that seems so wrong, but it allows you to get a much better exit, a much better corner around the left hand part. Now yes, I am using a tiny little bit of throttle, but that's where I was saying use none so you can get the corners entered and exited correctly, and then you'll find that you will be able to use a tiny little bit of throttle. Too much curb there. Now you see how I've had to do a little lift into that left-hander then? If I hadn't have got back on the throttle before the left-hander, I'd have been alright. I wouldn't have had to lift. So I need to make sure that I'm not applying too much throttle on or straight after the right-hander. Because the idea is that the right-hander is part of the slowing down zone for the left-hander, which will then allow me to take the left-hander faster and then the next right-hander flat out. I am just about out of fuel, so I am going to head into the pits on this one. And I would say it is advisable, if you've got cars behind you and you want the pits, it can quite often be useful to stay on the right here and make sure you slow down plenty to stay right to take this line, because the last thing you want is to be over on the left hand side of the track wanting the pit lane and you can't get in it because the car's gone for an overtake on you. Oh, what are they doing running around the pit lane? Right then, let's see if we can improve on that 233.4. I'm just trying to think if there's anywhere that I think I can go a little bit later on the brakes. To be honest, I don't think there really is. So even there where I've braked a lot, I've missed the racing line even though I'm not at full speed. So it is kind of, there's not a lot of room for braking a lot later and gaining a ton of time. I mean, okay, for example, the chicane at the end of the Kenwell Straight, I could try braking later there and going through the right-hander much faster, but I'll then go through the left-hander slower and the next right-hander even slower. So it's kind of catch-22 with that one. But again, similar to the final chicane here, you could perhaps brake a little bit later, but if you do, you're going to be extremely slow through the left-hander. That was a bit on the limit of a lot of steering on with full throttle then. I don't think that had been a time gain. Brake too late. Car was a little off balance as I was trying to get it slowed down. So braking any later at that corner is not advisable. Oh, trying to brake later meant I had to stay fuller on the brakes for longer and the car was unbalanced. So you see, this is a track where I don't think you're going to gain time by trying to brake late. You gain time by getting the entry correct and carrying a lot more speed through the corners with rhythm. So I guess the way that I would perhaps try and do it then is, instead of braking later, is to brake at the same points. Let's see if I can brake less to carry more speed. Don't know whether I'm going to be able to do it, because there's a few places where you don't really want to try that, like this corner coming up. See now, turn one, didn't need full brakes there, so I may be able to trim a bit of time out of it. Let's see how we get on down here without going full brake. No, it's not slowing down quick enough. And now I'm slow here. Well, at least now I know. I'm not even going to bother here. Here, just go full brake. Get that car slowed down, otherwise you're going to run wide, and when you run wide there, you lose a ton of time. Not quite getting pull on right at the moment. Trying a few different things on the way in, but it's not quite working. 2:34.1's a respectable time. Brake too late, gotta wait. That's one of the risks with not going full brake at turn 1 there, that if you do it too late, I mean, okay, yeah, you've still got the ability to apply more brake, but it starts putting additional pressure through the tyres. Yeah, that was pushing it a little bit too much. Right, let's get Poo-on done properly. I've been not quite doing it right. So 50, dab a brake down the gear. Once you get it turned in, you can be on the throttle so soon. If you do it later than the 50-metre marker board, you find yourself fighting to keep the car on the road. Ultimately, this is one of... I do love driving around this track. I prefer to do it in much faster cars, but I do love the technical nature of this track, because it seems so simple, but it really isn't. I say that it isn't until you work out a nice way around it, and then it is simple. And once you've got that simplicity, then you can really try and work on, right, where can I eke a little bit of time? Slow down too much. So through that corner already, I've tried doing it a few different times on a little bit of braking. Not quite getting it right at the moment. I could stick with it and keep trying it, but if it's more consistent to just go full brake, then it may be worth just sticking with that. Now, I know I said to a couple of people last night, I think it was, as we were doing a bit of practice around here, you can save yourself a lot by doing little lifts. So those 3 corners at the end of the Camel Straight, if need be, do a lift between each one and you'll find it much more stable for your car. And oddly as well, I mean, Poo-on, by just telling myself, right, brake at the 50, oh shit, fuck this corner up, do the dabber brake and the downshift, do it nice and early, it makes Poo-on so much easier to actually drive around. Because once you've got the entry, once you've got it turned in, you can just go full throttle. Whereas if you're pushing it harder on the way in, you are having to wait and wait and wait. I'm going to try something here for the benefit of qualifying. Okay, so brand new set of tyres. I'm going to want just over 3 laps worth of fuel. That being for an out lap and hopefully 2 flying laps. Now I could turn the fuel down for this out lap, but I'm not going to bother. I don't want to lose the temperature in the tyres. Basically what I'm simulating here is having done a couple of laps in the qualifying session and then pitted for a brand new set of tyres, but giving myself enough fuel to do 2 flying laps, hopefully. Try the alternate start of the lap to try and get a bit more speed. Don't think it worked. Too late on the brakes, which meant I was too late on the throttle. That's lost me a tenth or two. But with brand new tyres and low fuel, might not lose that much. So he didn't push through the right-hander as hard, flat out through the second right-hander. I went on the throttle and shouldn't have done. I've ended up having to slow down a lot more just to stay on the road. Little bit of a time loss, and that's all from that downhill right-hander where I dabbed the throttle and I really shouldn't have done. Turned in a touch soon then. I actually thought I was going to hit the wall. Well, looking at this, you know what, a 232 may be possible, because I've lost 3/10 in sector 1 and 2, so that's a 233.1, so 232 may be possible if you get a slipstream. Jesus. Let the car slow down. Too much curb on the apex, that's bad. Turned in way too soon, you tool. Prepped late, can't get on the throttle. Perfect example thereof, because I braked beyond the 50-meter marker board, I couldn't get back on the power. I had to wait and wait and wait, and even then I had to use my drifting abilities to keep the car on the fucking road. Because I reckon I'll have lost about 6/10 of a second in that alone. More, holy shit. Well, actually, I suppose put those two moments together, yeah, it makes sense. Let's see how we end the lap. To be fair, it was a better final sector. Now, the interesting thing in there is that between the two corners, I used a little less throttle in those final couple of corners, and it showed by giving me nearly 1/10 of a second. Now, obviously, I fucked up the middle sector, which is very annoying for me, because obviously I started off by saying, get your braking points right, get your turning points right. And that middle sector, that's what it is all about. Now, admittedly though, one of the things about this track is pole position is a position you don't necessarily want to be in, because if you're in pole position, chances are you are not going to be leading the race by the time you get to the end of this straight, because the person in second is going to have your slipstream, third's going to have double slipstream, fourth is going to have triples. So chances are, if you're first up Eau Rouge, you're going to be about fourth into here. Now, something I might do, I don't know, is it worth me doing? I'm just wondering, one of the things I might do is to show like a video comparison of braking at the 50 metres for Pouhon and not braking for the 50 metres at Pouhon, to show the differences. but it'd be a bit time consuming for me. I mean, to a degree, for anyone that watches my videos and takes my hints and tips, hopefully, you'd know that if you struggle in a corner, the tips I give you are going to help. Okay, so we're full fuel, brand new set of tyres. That was a nice run through that corner. Now that's either because I was a little slow on the way in, or I just got it absolutely minted. Thing is, being full fuel, I may be slower down here, even if I did take turn one quicker. So yeah, 2 tenths down. Now that could just be the fuel, or it could be that I did enter the corner slower. Now for that corner I've just been round, no name, my aim is to always try and get my left hand wheels on the apex curb. It can help you tuck around the corner. What I'm finding at the moment though is that just staying in third gear is getting a little bit tricky, so I may find that I'm going to have to go up to fourth gear but actually come down to third for the initial turn in. So basically similar process to P1. Slowed down way too much there. Oh god, sign of the devil, but then I am a demon. Brake too late. Although I may have gone into the corner quicker, I was a lot later getting on the power, so I've overcompensated a little bit there. This time for no name, I'm going to try going up to fourth. Not convinced. lost a bit of time through Blanchimont there. Not sure about that one. Felt a little slow on the way in, but it was a little wide on the way out. I'm not going through there quick enough. I mean, I'm trying to use 4th gear. I'm not sure if it's going to help me though. Too slow through that corner. Went into the first part too fast, come out of the second part too slow. Another 2:33.4 though. Too soon on the throttle. I can't argue with that though. Okay, 2:33.4. Obviously I've got that lap time 3 or 4 times there. This is the thing about when it comes to fast laps as well. Being able to do it once is one thing. Being able to do it again, repeat it, is a key point to improving as a driver. Because there's no point being able to do that. I mean, I could, for example, go into the DGT chat and go, I've done a 2:33.4. And people may question it, but if I was to go, my PB is a 2:33.4, I've done 5 or 6 of them, they're all of a sudden going to go, okay, he's not bullshitting that. They're not going to question it as much, and it means that whatever it was that I'd done on the lap to get that time, I have been able to repeat it. So anyway. Right, I think I might end there because it's now 3 o'clock in the morning. I think I came on about 1:30, 2 o'clock, something like that. Although actually, you know, before I do go, I am going to just take a car for a little bit of a joyride somewhere, and that's because there's a new car on the game that has come out, and I want to see if it's a drift car or not, because we believe that it is. I'm looking for a particular track. I think I've gone past it. There we go. Let me take tyre wear off. Take fuel off. Right. Yeah, there's a new, it's not called a Mazda, it is a Mazda, but it's not called that, it's called an RE Amemiya. Amemiya being a tuning house. And I'm pretty sure that the car is a drift car. Because we drove it last night on Racing Super Softs, and it liked to drift. It'd be daft of me not to see what it can go up to. Right. Now usually cars that are drift cars do tend to be noticeable pretty quickly. Yeah, it's a drift car, methinks. Just feels like it's lacking a bit of grunt, but oh, bugger off. Yeah, she's a drift car. Annoyingly, I've just realised that because I'm in a lobby and not in time trial, I can't actually watch a replay of this. Oh, not that I want to watch a replay of that. I'm going to jump into time trial and then I'm going to go and tune the fucker up. I think I could definitely say that from the way that it handled from halfway around that lap, yeah, she's definitely a drift car. Let's take it round here. It's an interesting drifting track. to about 500 brake, shall we? Yeah, she's definitely a drift car. Oh, got a little bit too cocky then. Ooh. Need to make sure I remember the track. For a minute then, I didn't think it was the right track. That turn one looked very different. But it's just because of the light. I always cock this hairpin up when it comes to drifting. I always end up trying to turn in from too wide. Didn't quite get that right. Oh, there we go. Ah, too much throttle. Obviously, it's got a very different. I know it's got a wankel engine, but it has got such a different style of engine note. Messed that up. Annoyingly, it does actually feel like a very nice car to drift. I'm just fucking up. I mean, I've not actually tried drifting this car before. I mean, I've only had it since yesterday. Whereas with like the Ferrari F40, I know what its sort of characteristics are when it comes to doing a bit of drifting. With this, I don't know it yet. Oh, so little moments like that different in this car compared to the F40. It does drift very nice, and with the engine note, I mean, that drift I was just doing then, it almost sounds like the wheels, or I'm not getting enough wheel spin because of the engine note. The engine note is quite dull. Yeah, pushed it too hard. Oh, the grass had nearly completely lost it. Right, okay, up here, Dave. Don't go too far left. That wasn't very good, but better than I would perhaps normally do. Interesting that it hasn't quite got the kick on the rear end that the Ferrari F40 has when pumping it up a gear. It's kind of a, you go, whereas the F40 just I went the wrong way on the gears. Oh shit. Tell you what though, if I spent a bit of time with this car, it could quite comfortably become my new drift car. Now I haven't yet tried it obviously on full power. I might try that in a moment. Oh, that's too much of a flick. Yep. Ooh. Just banged my hand on the wheel. That was it felt like an absolutely beautiful drift. Now, I might look at it on a replay and it'll look like nothing. I am going to look at that on a replay because I do want to, I'm interested to see whether some of the drifts that I felt were really good actually were. Because like I say, but from the sound of the engine, it doesn't sound like it's sort of high revving and stuff like that, but maybe that's just the wankle. Yeah, it's definitely a drift car. That's odd. I wonder why they've got the decals on the driver's door backwards. Well, it's got the RE MMI. Yeah, it is possible that I may have found my next drift car. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love drifting the Ferrari F40. I mean, it's bonkers to the idea of using a Ferrari F40 for drifting, but it's a brilliant fucking drift car. But having said that, so is this. Just needs a better driver. have overcooked that. It is good at doing the nice long high speed drift. It's not so good on a fucking straight. On the wrong edge of the track there, Dave. Needed an earlier upshift there. Nearly saved it so coolly as well. Yeah, she's definitely 100% a drift car. Right, I'm not gonna go putting the power up. I'm gonna stop there. Oh, yeah, interesting car. I mean, that car was fun to drive on Racing Super Softs when I drove it yesterday, but much more fun as a drift car. Anyway, have a good one, everybody, and I'll see you all again soon.